something and a...
What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Water Cooler, episode number 211. Today's topic is SSL options for your WordPress website. Man, we're talking about security today, folks, and we got some great folks on the show. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. George, alphabetical order. You win the lottery. Go for it.
Hi, I am George Stefanos. I am a geek who works on Jetpack, building all sorts of shiny things and widgets and speed, performance, and upgrades. And yes, my brain is fried. It's the end of the election season. I can't think straight. I'm sorry.
George is adding all the check boxes to the Jetpacks. What about you, Jason Cosper? How about you?
Hey, I'm Jason Cosper. I am the developer advocate over at WP Engine, and I'm here to talk about some SSL today.
Funny
Awesome.
story,
Good to have you.
Jason Cosper's been there 5 years at WP Engine, for those of you who don't know.
Wow.
Yep.
It's been 5 years. That's all we've got. Sorry.
What about you, Russ?
My name is Russell Aaron. I work at Web Dev Studios. I'm a back-end developer and support monkey, essentially is what it is. And I do everything in Vegas WordPress related.
Awesome. How about you, Say? Please tell us about yourself, Say.
Oh,
Say
me. Hi.
something about yourself.
I'm going to say something. I was just kind of fascinated by the fact that Russ has got like a beanie on. I was trying to be like, what is happening? That's okay. Anyway, I'm Say Reed, and I make WordPress, teach WordPress, love WordPress, preach WordPress. At Say Reed Media on all the things.
Nice.
That's it. Okay, Steve, you're up. High five.
Hand off. I'm Steve Zenger. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the
So he
OC
says.
WordPress meetup.
Awesome. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me jasontucker.us, and I don't have my lower third on. Check that out. I usually read it. Oh well, that's about it.
I'm sorry, that was really loud, but Jason's like, wait, who am I again? I don't remember.
True. Well, maybe I need to put my clout score on there, right?
Who am I is the
You're
next season
beating
of Black
us.
Mirror.
So let's talk a little bit about security. Yeah, Black Mirror. Yeah, let's definitely talk about
I'm
security.
feeling-
Let's not talk about
feeling
Black
it-
Mirror.
I'm feeling insecure, guys. help me feel more secure.
So,
Wow.
you know, we've talked in the past. Last time we talked about SSL on the show was episode like 36 or 38 or something like that.
Isn't that the one that got hacked? See what I
No.
did there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why my credit card had to change.
So that was like what, 2013?
Yeah, way back
Okay.
then. Back
Nothing's
when we were all
changed.
using MySpace.
Nothing's changed since then.
There's this thing. It's called Google, and it has this. It has clout. Let's just say, not like the social media network, but it has some influence, and it's decided that it's gonna go. What are you sighing about Google having influence? That is not a contestable statement.
I'm sighing about you trying to fit clout in any way you can into the episode.
That's why I'm getting points. See, I'm increasing my clout. Anyway,
It's almost like she was sponsored to mention that PSA or something.
All right, where are we going?
Right.
They're
My
bribing
point
her
is-
with clout points.
is that Google basically is saying you got a HTTPS. Starting next year, they're going to be not just down or not just upticking the rankings of secure sites, but actually dinging, soon to be dinging, people that are HTTP. Basically, they're making everyone go secure. Okay, that's what's happening. They're just using it to flex their muscles. That's what's happening.
So for our non-tech audience, what does HTTPS mean?
But they don't actually need to know, though. See, that's the thing. They just need to know they need the S.
You said it.
It means the data that is being transferred from their website, from and to their website, is done in an encrypted manner.
Okay.
It is
Right.
encrypted.
So basically, if you're using an open Wi-Fi at a Starbucks and you're connecting to your WP admin, and you don't have HTTPS, your URL just http://mydomain.com. Everything you send, someone sitting in the table 2 tables over on the same Wi-Fi could potentially be snooping on every single request that comes to and from during that website. So when you log in, they could sniff and find out your password. They could find your login cookies and copy them to their browser, and suddenly they are logged in as you. this is a really dangerous thing. But if your site has HTTPS or you're communicating over something that is HTTPS, like using WordPress.com's API or Jetpack as middleware, the connection is encrypted, which means that someone could know that you're talking to that IP address, but they don't know what domain you're talking to, and they don't know exactly what you're saying to them, just that, oh, they're talking to that server. Well, that doesn't tell me much useful. And that's exactly the
Doesn't
point.
tell me much useful. That's my new phrase. That doesn't tell me much useful.
So George, you're saying that the prison days of the internet are over, where like you cover over your screen real quick and then you do a couple typing. Like you can't protect yourself, is what you're saying. Now you kind of want to have an SSL to protect
SSL
yourself.
certificates will not protect you against someone looking over your.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best approach.
No,
President on the coffee shop.
No,
doing his work.
So what it used to be is like you turn your screen away from people, but now that technology is so significant, they can actually see things without having to be.
No,
anywhere
I'm sorry.
near.
I'm with George on this one. You can still get social engineered.
Totally.
Yeah,
people
it's a
can
strange
still
analogy.
spy on you. Like
Social
HTTPS does
engineering is
not
my favorite
help
kind of
you.
engineering.
It doesn't help you for people just being douchebags. But hacking, it'll
Yes.
help.
I'm going to hack you now.
So
If that guy's standing behind you, should do more than just cover your screen. This is my conclusion.
Steve, you're going to say something very poignant, please.
I was not. I was actually
Save
just going
us.
to reinforce Say's point. So Google is now soon going to ding you if your site is not secure.
That's the official term, BT Dubs. Ding
Yes.
you.
Right. So you're
Right,
actually
so
going to get pushed. You're going to
not
get pushed in
only
the
you're-
ranking.
Not to be confused with binging you. Google's not going to do that.
Sure, and it's
They
not
would never
only
bing
your-
you.
It's not only on search results. It's also if you're in Google Chrome, which I think years ago became the most popular browser in the world. It'll actually it'll show you for HTTPS sites. You get a little green lock right next to the non-HTTPS sites. It may display a warning: your information is not encrypted when communicating with
Yeah,
this
so
website.
that's
Okay.
And then
that's
something
kind of the
bad's
big
gonna
that's
be
kind of the
able to be
big
read.
thing that they're doing is that they are going to visually frighten the user. In addition to, like you said, search results, they are actually moving to that where they're going to say it's not that it's secure and now you get an icon, but they're going to now say when it is non-secure site, and so that's going to make all of the customers on all of the sites freaked out because no one knows what that actually means.
So I'm in our audience.
Really,
right
sites
now.
should
Wait,
be
hang
secure
on.
by default.
Okay, so let's transition here. I'm in our audience right now, and I'm listening to all this, right? And I've got my cat blog, and it's not secure, right? How do I get it? How do I get it to? How do I add the S?
All right, you want to be useful? Fine.
I'm just trying to stay on topic here.
All right, so here's the
Register a
thing you
second
need.
domain and go from cat.blog to
No.
cats.blog.
No.
All right,
You have the
here's the
formalized
deal.
version.
You need an SSL certificate. This is the
Oh.
key. This is the key
Oh, thank
to
you.
the whole shebang. And the SSL certificate land is also in a fun place of Shift.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
white,
Right here,
there's a
this
white piece
lovely
of
paper
paper.
certificate I have says I have SSL.
Good job.
I
Yes.
have it on my wall so people can
Are you
trust
gonna
my
tape
website.
that over your monitor like picture camera thing? Is that what
That's
you-
how Russ does it. You just
this
put a
one.
little post-it
Russ
note.
is-
You write SSL on a post-it note and you put it over your password box on the monitor. Right, Russ?
Yeah, but I have a real hard time because all the whiteout on my screen, like I really can't see everything.
Kinda
Right,
like,
so
that,
this-
like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
right,
just
perfect.
put that on your skin.
Okay.
On
Yeah,
your
yeah.
skin.
Oh,
No,
I get that.
so when I'm at
Screen.
Starbucks, I just hold that up and I let everybody know that I'm just on SSL right now.
Ain't no
That's it.
hacking you.
Um,
You should put it on the back of your
so-
right here, just SSL.
So taking,
Oh, this show is so off the rails.
So taking taking the whole search engine type stuff out of the equation here, the idea that someone goes to your website, they look at your website, and they notice that there's no SSL, should they be putting in information into, say, forms or credit card boxes or any of that
No.
sort of stuff?
No. No.
So because
Okay.
of that,
Unless you want other people to
so,
see it.
so because of
You
that,
may,
even if
who
you're trying to
knows?
even if you're trying to fill in, say, like a newsletter place, you know, they just want your email address, and want you to type your email address into this box and then hit the go button. Should that even be SSL? You know, should all
Technically, it should
have
all be
SSL.
SSL if you want to protect your data, not just the credit card info, which is the impetus for this whole thing.
For
And
best practices, if you're collecting what's known as PII, personally identifying information, you should encrypt it.
let's
Makes
encrypt.
sense.
See how I did that?
Ah,
Oh,
yeah,
segue.
that is
You like that? So
One
there's
hell
this.
of a segue.
Thank you. So there's this organization. No, we.
I was gonna say, let's talk about the old school way first, right?
Oh,
Let's
the
talk
old school way is you give your hosting provider like $100, and then they do it for you.
Mhm.
Or what-
$100 per year.
$100 a year per site per domain,
so I'll tell you what I
and
did
it
is
still often doesn't work.
so I walked over to Namecheap, and you're able to buy SSLs from Namecheap.com, and
Like
then
a counter, they have like.
yeah. What I did was I contacted my host WP Engine. They helped me install it. They helped me generate all the keys, and they got it installed. And then once that was done, WP Engine even took it a step further, and they changed my site from HTTP to HTTPS and made sure all my images were doing that as well. So in terms of old school way, that's how you would do it. You would buy a third-party site, or you'd buy it from your host, have them help you install it, and then convert your site from HTTP to HTTPS.
You would buy a
that's usually-
site, or you would buy a SSL certificate?
I'd buy the SSL certificate from a third-party site like Namecheap. And usually that's why SSL breaks, is you have an image on your site and you're not referencing HTTPS, and that's why things break.
Well, and so that can actually be a problem for users, especially DIY users who are converting from HTTP to HTTPS. That's kind of one of the main problems, because actually the process of putting your SSL certificate on the site, et cetera, is a lot easier these days. Maybe not exactly for Let's Encrypt, but we should talk about that. The problem is that a lot of the stuff that users do, again, especially DIY users, are hard linking or hard coding out links, or pulling in images from other places, or if they had a different site that was set up at one time, it might be pulling from somewhere weird. So it'll show then that the site is broken and it has insecure elements on it. And that can be kind of complicated to figure out where those are. There's a bunch of plugins, though, that will help you with that, although they don't always work. Just for the record. There's a insecure content fixer
So
one.
now there's several different types of SSL certificates you can get. I mean,
Good.
at the very base level, you can get what's known as a self-signed certificate, which lets your website talk encrypted to clients, but there's no main certificate issuer saying, yes, this is actually a certificate, because you just made it yourself. Then there's the normal level of certificate, which most folks get. But then up at the top, there's the premium, what's known as an EV, I believe, extended validation certificate, that actually involves more research by the issuing company, verifying that you as a business are who you say you are, you're based where you say you are. And that's where you go to like WordPress.com, and on the left-hand side, it says Automatic Incorporated. Or you go to another website, instead of saying the domain name, it says the actual like the corporation that runs that website.
Yeah, and that's the additional layer of, it's not security between the browser and the server. It's the security of the person not having to kind of go look up who's this company and who bought this SSL certificate, which is all fine and good, especially when you're dealing with a man in the middle type attack, where somebody is at the Starbucks and they're the ones offering up the Wi-Fi that you just connected to, and now they're also offering up the SSL certificate that you're now connecting through, and they are scooping up all your data.
Yep. Because just because something has that little green lock doesn't just means that it's encrypted. That doesn't mean you're actually talking to the person you think you're talking to. So, for example, a man-in-the-middle attack, you could talk to their server, which has a SSL certificate, but not the right one. And then their server actually acts as you talking to the real server, meanwhile just keeping track of everything that goes back and forth through them.
And you'll see that a lot in some people have HTTPS set up, but the SSL certificate is in like a subdomain or a different domain, or the site is not configured as the SSL certificate is. And you'll see a screen generally that says, hey, the security certificate of this site is not the person that says that owns this. Do you want to keep going? Actually, you'll see that sometimes with Facebook. Do you guys ever see that? Where if you like don't type in the HTTPS, it'll give you that, and it'll say that Facebook doesn't own Facebook's security thing. I'll screenshot it and tweet it sometime.
Yeah. In the chat, the couple folks are talking about regarding having something like Cloudflare live between you or between your visitor and their browser and your server. Having Cloudflare be the one that provides the SSL is great for your visitor's browser talking to the server through Cloudflare, but it doesn't encrypt any of the connection between Cloudflare and your web server.
Right. Yeah. You're still going to need an SSL certificate to protect yourself between yourself and Cloudflare. That's still something that needs to be taken into account. That there's tampering somewhere on the network that can happen in between you or your site and Cloudflare potentially. So it's best to kind of eliminate that risk altogether and still have some sort of SSL certificate. And when we get into talking about Let's Encrypt, we can talk about how they can get that for free. Yeah.
Well, real quick, I want to talk about the more of the mixed content, because that's actually right now the thing that is the most dramatic. Actually, in the browser, you'll either get a green light or the green lock if it's secure. You'll get nothing if it's just regular HTTP. But when it basically throws up a bunch of things right now, and is when you have the mixed content. So you have some that's secure, or you're loading an HTTPS page, but again, the images aren't loading. And that is actually something that you see a lot, because a lot of themes, when you're in, for example, the customizer, and you're putting in different blocks or sections or things like that, you actually make references to the hard-coded HTTP for images and whatnot, and it'll still pull that image exactly the same. And that's what's, I think, really confusing to the user, because the image is working. It's just hard-coded to pull from the HTTPS instead of the HTTP. No, vice versa.
Right.
And so it shows as an error, and that actually right now looks way more dramatic. It's like, oh, some of this is messed up. So there are a few plugins that will help fix that. The Insecure Content Fixer, Mixed Content Detector, and there's also some, like, for example, Force SSL, which will basically just change all of your, it will force all of it to go to HTTPS. I think one of those actually strips, it's Remove HTTP is another plugin that actually strips your HTTP or HTTPS from all of the links in your content. So it doesn't matter what they have, and it doesn't do that in the database. It does it dynamically. So there are actually a few options for that. Obviously, I think actually fixing the problem is probably better than just putting a plugin Band-Aid on top of it. So if you don't have a ginormous site, going through it and finding out which pages throw up errors, and then you can actually, from that where it says get more information, you can actually load that, and you can then see from within whatever browser you're using, they all show them, you can see which ones are pulling from HTTP and which ones are pulling from HTTPS, and then you can just manually fix it, which is the more long forward, future-proof way.
Yeah, and not all web hosts support that, which is pretty much what Cosper is going to tell us, right, Cosper?
Well, actually, I was going to touch on, the SSL Insecure Content Fixer, that is something that does go ahead and upgrade your content. Same as Force SSL, it works to try to upgrade your content. The HTTPS Mixed Content Detector plugin, it was written by Zach Tolman over at Wired. They have done a huge transition.
George gives it a thumbs up.
Yeah. They have done a huge transition in moving Wired.com from HTTP to HTTPS. And effectively, the Mixed Content Detector does not actually upgrade any of your requests. It will sit there and log the mixed content that it detects on pages. So no matter how much you think you're doing programmatically, in using a plugin like this, that mixed content detector will log the requests that it finds as people browse around your site, as people see problems, so you can go in and actually fix it manually.
Great,
it's
that's
super
really handy.
useful and super great. Yeah.
So you don't have to go looking for the problems. The problems are basically put in a list when people find them.
You should go looking for them, but you're gonna miss them. And when you do, it's good to get a notice about it. Yeah.
Well,
That's great.
Even if you use something like Better Search Replace and you go into your database and you search that, like if you're not specifically looking for a specific path, you could change all your links to outbound sites. And if they're not HTTPS, you can mess that up as well. So I think going through and doing things by hand is always the best. But like Casper said, you're going to miss some. So having that backup plan is probably a good idea.
And what about embedded content like YouTube, things like that? Same problems, right? It's throwing up insecure content warnings.
So one of the problems that I had at a mortgage site was they had a thing for mortgage rates, and they were using a background image to separate, tables. And so that image was not HTTPS, and I had it on an HTTPS site, and that was the error I was getting. And I had to actually go and update that to make that CSS background be HTTPS, and it fixed my problem. So even though your site is doing things and it's forcing that, when you iframe something or you embed something, that other site could be causing the problem.
Mm-hmm. So embeds are important.
There are ways to effectively and browser oriented ways to basically add headers, upgrade insecure requests, things like that. But the server still needs to support the place that is basically getting an upgraded request, still needs to support HTTPS. If they have not enabled HTTPS yet, then even having something like upgrade insecure requests will not work.
Mm-hmm. So who's talking about protocol relative URLs?
That was me. So that was what you were talking about earlier, Say, was taking...
That's just the fancy way of saying it, is what you're saying.
It was actually Russ. It was taking out the HTTP or HTTPS and just doing / and then the URL. I don't really understand enough about how the browser's interpreting that and then dealing with it. Does anyone have any ideas of how that actually works on that end?
From what I understand, that is actually an ANI pattern at this point, that browser vendors and several other people are saying to not use that or discouraging it actively. But it still definitely works. I mean, heck, HTML4 still works. That doesn't mean we should still be using it.
Right.
Hey,
I've just seen it a few times
if
now.
we really wanted to.
Right.
It just happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just seen the / and then the URL a few times in various plugins that I've downloaded and seen how they're using that. So it's like, well, okay, so people still think this is something that they should be doing, and I was just kind of curious if anybody's, heard anything about that.
I hate to be the one watching the clock. I know we don't have a lot of time left.
Let's talk about Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, let's talk about Let's Encrypt. Yeah.
So you guys started doing that over there, right?
It's plugin, which is WP Encrypt.
Well,
not only did they start doing it, they started doing it in an awesome way.
Yeah,
I believe that's called doing it and doing it right.
Teed it up. I teed it up for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe it's
what are you guys doing over there with?
You get SSL, and you get an SSL, and you get an SSL.
So Casper, could you walk us through how WP Engine does that and why you made that decision?
Yeah, on every install, we have started offering Let's Encrypt certificates to anyone who basically wants them. What we do is you basically get the ability to enable a Let's Encrypt certificate on your site. It will... Am I missing something, Say?
No.
She's just... Yeah, I don't know what she's doing.
Is she laughing at Russ's sick vape?
No, I had some problems. It's cool.
Okay.
I have a drinking problem. Go ahead.
admitting
Let's
you
encrypt.
have
This
a
is important. It's way more
Yeah.
important than my pathetic attempts to drink coffee. So go
problem-
ahead.
no, admitting you have a problem is the first step. Say it.
Okay.
So what we're doing is basically allowing anybody to enable Let's Encrypt on any one of their sites. That means that they get an SSL certificate for any site that they host through us. Basically, this means that come January, when Google starts dinging you for in search results, in Google Chrome, things like that, you can actually just push a few buttons, a few clicks, and you're good to go. And at that point, you just enable SSL on your, you enable the certificate, enable SSL on your site, and then we go ahead and handle the renewal until you are no longer a WP Engine customer.
Which is
That's
important
awesome.
because Let's Encrypt only offers 90-day SSL certificates.
Correct.
Because, and this is really interesting actually, in researching Let's Encrypt, their philosophy on this is that you should actually, it's much more secure if the SSL certificates are turned over more frequently. But they're also very adamant about automation, which means that your SSL certificate should be automatically renewed and updated. And they actually were talking about wanting to move to a shorter time frame because it is so much more secure. So you need to automate, which obviously WP Engine does, and so does this plugin from Let's Encrypt called WP Encrypt. It automatically will renew your SSL certificate and get you a new one every 90 days.
And hey, credit where credit's due. WP Engine is not the only host that is doing this.
Oh yeah,
I know
sure.
that SiteGround is doing it. I know that DreamHost is doing it. I believe some of our competitors over at Flywheel. Basically, there are a lot of people. I even believe outside of the WordPress world.
Wait, there's an outside of the WordPress world?
I know. Even Squarespace now is
Oh.
offering Let's Encrypt certificates.
Well, okay, so here's the reason for that. Is because all these for-profit businesses.
I'm sorry. I don't want to slight George and not mention that Automatic does it as well for WordPress.com.
So Casper, when I set up a new thing on WP Engine, is this like one and done? I don't ever have to worry about an SSL again, or am I being secure, but I should go and get one of the company ones as well?
If you're handling kind of larger transactions, if you are handling things that basically an e-commerce site, things like that, there might be some PCI requirements that you have to go through that require a stronger SSL certificate. In that case, by all means, pay, upgrade, do whatever you have to do there. We still allow you to do that if you need to, or you can bring in one that you pick up at Namecheap or wherever you like to shop for certificates. But that is still an opportunity.
If you're paying, if you don't have something like that where you're using heavy credit card stuff, where you don't have, or HIPAA stuff where you have like serious compliance issues, and you're paying 70
don't store
to
HIPAA stuff in WordPress.
I didn't say store anything. I didn't say store
man.
anything. I just said if
Okay.
you're talking about that stuff, that's a
I
whole
store-
other.
I store
It's a
the
whole
HIPAA
other
right next to the-
topic.
I store it right next to the plain text passwords.
Yes,
Okay, that's
very
actually
important.
a good place for them.
Yeah.
The point
say-
is that you should not be paying $70 to $100 for your certificate necessarily if you're not at that level of protection. So,
Your
and if your
cat
host
blog.
doesn't offer
Need a
the
short
free
amount of time,
version
but
of it.
Say and I were both going to mention that you should go to Let's Encrypt and
Yes.
donate to them because they need
Yes,
money.
they're running a Kickstarter,
Yes.
or not
Yes.
a Kickstarter, but a crowdfunding
Generosity.
site
Yes.
thing. Which the
They
link
want
will be
money.
in the thing. Well, and here's the funny thing, which I was going to say, is that it's smart of WP Engine and DreamHost and SiteGround to use Let's Encrypt, because now they're using a free service to make their clients' sites more secure, which in turn makes their servers more secure. So there's no reason that they would not be doing this. But that has the problem of Let's Encrypt being a nonprofit, and WP Engine and all this stuff being for profits, and I think the burden should fall heavily upon them to support those things, much like the open source world in WordPress and how we do that there. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Pitch.
That's about it for today, folks. Thank you very much for being on the show. If you have a website, get HTTPS in the US. Make sure you go vote. We appreciate it.
Vote!
Talk to you
Vote!
later. Bye-bye.
Text me about your vote.